Miss Steele here. So this week we're talking about space and scale. And scale is how big or small something is, while space is how far away or how close something is to us. So we're going to make these kind of geometric circle designs that use both space and scale. You want two pieces of white paper. One of them we're going to make a background. The other one we're going to make our circles on. I have a large piece of blue paper. This is going to help with our background. And then I have scissors, glue. I have a ruler because I want to cut these into squares, so I'm going to measure. You want colored pencils, and then you want a black marker. So I have a few different black markers that I'm going to be using. But first, we're going to start with cutting our papers into squares so we can get them ready. We don't have to cut one of them because that's going to be what we draw our circles on. But for this one, we want to cut it into a square. So to cut it into a square, you want to look at the shorter side and measure how long it is. So this one is 12 inches. So I would use my ruler and I would find where 12 inches is going this way, because we know this side's 12 inches, so we want this side to be 12 inches. And then I make a few little dots right there at the 12-inch mark, and then I can draw my straight line and cut off this part because we want this to be a square shape. I'm going to do the same thing with this paper. So I'm going to figure out how long the shorter side is, and it's 9 inches. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to find where the 9-inch mark is, like that. Oop, it's harder to see because this is so bright. There we go, now you can see my two small dots. And then I'm going to draw a straight line using those dots to guide me. And now I'm going to get the extra paper cut off of these, and we'll move on to our next step. I don't need this blue paper until the end, so I'm going to set it aside, but we're going to start with our square white paper. And what I'm going to do is right here in the center, I'm going to put a small dot. You can see it right there. And then I'm going to lightly start drawing lines that come out from that dot. And they're going to be skinnier towards the center and bigger as they make their way out. And I'm going to try to use the same amount of space going around here. I'm going to bring that one in a little bit, which is why we have an eraser. And then I'm going to keep adding these coming out of these dots using kind of these wavy lines right next to each other, trying to keep them pretty even, like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to use my black marker to color in every other one. So it's almost going to be like a pattern. So I'm going to color in one, and then I'm going to leave the next one blank, which is why we have the black marker. So I'd color in this one, and then I'd leave this next one blank, and then I would color in this one, leave this one blank, and keep that same pattern going all the way around of coloring every other one in and then leaving the other one white. And this is going to help us with our background. So I'm going to work on getting this colored in, and then we're going to move on to our next step. So I'm going to get these colored in, and then we're going to look at it once it's finished. So I'm coloring in every other one. Alright, so I have this finished. I went back and erased any pencil lines that were kind of hanging out, so it's really white in those white areas with no pencil lines. So we're going to set this aside, and now we're going to grab our next paper. So we had the two white papers and then the one colored paper. And on this paper, what you're going to do is you're going to draw 3 circles in 3 different sizes. So you want one to be pretty large, one to be medium-sized, and one to be pretty small. So I have that now. I think I'm going to draw them again just so you can see. You want one to be pretty large, about bigger than your fist, one to be medium-sized, and one to be small. And now you want to pick out 3 colored pencils. You can pick any color you like. I think for mine, I'm going to use this darker yellow, maybe this blue, and then for my last one I'm going to use orange. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to color these in using some value, which we haven't learned about yet, but it's always good practice and we can learn about it while we're working on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one side that I'm going to color in darker. And then what I'm going to do is as I slowly get to the other side, I'm going to press lighter on my pencil. So an easy way to make 3 different values is if you hold really close to where the lead is, it'll be a lot darker. But if you hold farther back, it'll get lighter and lighter. And so you want to keep doing this, going around your circle. So you can see I have my dark, and now I'm going to go in and start adding my lighter color. And then right over here on the edge is where it's going to be the lightest. So over here it's going to be super light. And what I can do is I can go back. I can layer these. If I feel like this is too dark and that's too light, I can go back and start darkening that up, just lightly pressing around so it all blends together. So you can see where it goes from the darkest right here to the medium to the lightest. So that's what you're going to do with all 3 of these. You can even grab out your white colored pencil if you have one, and you can pick one of the lighter sides and you can color in a little white area, and that'll be like the lightest area. So that's what I'm doing over here on the edge. So I'm going to do that to these other 2, and I'll show you one more time how we can color it in and use value in this. And you can always go back and layer it up a little bit more, trying to keep that lighter side lighter and this darker side a little bit darker, so it all kind of blends in together. So I'm going to do that for this next one, and I'm going to be using this bronze yellow. So I'm going to pick this one to be my dark side, and this side's going to be my light side. And for my dark, I kind of want to go around the edge of my circle so I can get that circle shape. So I'm trying to color inside the lines. I got a little bit outside of them, but I'm trying to keep this circle going. So I'm going to start with my darkest, and then I'm going to hold it about halfway through, and that's going to be my medium. And I'm going to come in and put in my medium, and then it's going to lead over here to my lightest side. And then I'm going to hold farther back and start filling it in for my lightest, and then I can go back and layer it as well to make it all blend really nicely. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to start darkening it up just a little bit so this is a little more blended together. And sometimes I like to draw actually small little circles while I'm doing this. So I'm going to finish this one. I'm going to add my white highlight, and then I'm going to work on my biggest one at the end. So I'm going to get this one colored in, and then I'm going to get them cut out so we can move on to our next step. So I have my big circle, my medium, and then my small. So I'm going to get the rest of this colored in, get this one colored in, and then we're going to cut them out. Alright, so I have all of my pieces. I have my 3 circles, my small, medium, and large that I colored darker on one side than lighter on the other. I have my background that I made earlier, and I have my blue paper. So the first step is figuring out how you might want to glue this down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to glue our circles around here, and we're going to put our smallest one towards the center, and then our larger ones almost coming off of this. So I think instead of gluing mine at an angle, I think I'm going to glue it just kind of like normal, right here in the middle. But if you wanted to glue yours a different way like this, or maybe just tilted slightly, you could do that. But I'm going to glue mine in the middle. And then what's going to happen is we're going to be adding a circle coming off of this paper, so that works with scale as well as space. So our smaller one's going to be towards the center, where our center area is smaller. And then our larger ones are going to be almost coming off here. So what you want to do is you can put these down and figure out where you want them to go. And then the biggest one's going to be coming off of here. I think I'm going to put mine down like this. I kind of like that. And so my largest is almost like popping off of the paper because it's the biggest. So it's going to be the farthest away from the center, which is why we got bigger here at the bottom. I think mine's going to go like that. And then I'm going to add my smaller one over here. And then I think I'm going to add my medium-sized one kind of halfway, like it's not fully coming off of the paper, but it's right towards the edge right there. And just like that, we are done. So we're working with scale as well as space. So it gets bigger the farther out it comes because it's almost like it's closer to us. And on top of that, the smaller one's more towards the center because that's the smallest, medium, and largest. I can't wait to see how these come out. I think it's pretty neat, and it's also kind of, it's not too complicated. It's some simple steps kind of repeated when we're coloring in our circles and our backgrounds. I will see you all next time. Have a wonderful rest of your morning, your evening, or afternoon whenever you're watching this. Bye!